When I go in there, I want to be in tip-top condition and great health.
Finally, the fight was canceled. Hagler was livid.
And he was going to make $2 million. He turned down $2 million. In the first beginning, Ray, he started complaining about his little baby pinky. You know how many people will give $1 million for that little baby pinky? They cut that thing off.
And come April 15, in 3 rounds, I would be the greatest.
And Tommy said, I'm going to be laying down there and his hands are going to be raised. I feel almost the same way, but when the smoke clears, because I'm coming out smoking, as you know, but when the smoke clears, it'll be my hands that will be raised.
After 3 long years, the war of words will be settled amidst the neon of Las Vegas, Nevada. Hagler and Hearns have descended upon Caesar's Palace to end their dispute and treat the public to the fight of the year. The hype is over, and the drama begins as we await the opening bell between 2 great champions, Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Thomas Hearns. The road to the title was frustrating for the Marvelous One. It was back on November 30th, 1979, that Hagler had his first shot at Vito Antuofermo's middleweight crown. In one of the most controversial decisions in the last decade, the fight was ruled a draw. Vito kept the belt, and Marvin walked away empty and bitter. But he used that anger almost 1 year later to fuel a vicious assault on the reigning champion, Alan Minter. Hagler had promised not to leave the decision in the hands of the judges. After 7 long years and 3 brutal rounds, Marvelous Marvin Hagler had won the middleweight title. Yet even in victory, a hostile British crowd hurled bottles rather than accolades at the new champion. With each defense, his image grew. On October 3rd, 1981, in his 3rd defense, Hagler was deadly accurate. He pitched an 11-round shutout of Mustafa Hamsho. The 55 stitches administered to the challenger have now become a grotesque reminder of Hagler's dominance. A year later, Fulgencio Oval Mejias had risen from the depths of a previous loss to the middleweight champion. This deadly right hand may have been Hagler's most devastating one-punch knockout of his career. Fully Oval would not return again. February 11th, 1983, in his 6th defense, a tough Brit, Tony Simpson, fought hard for 6 rounds. But Marvelous Marvin was just too strong. In typical Hagler fashion, the #1 challenger was beaten into the canvas. November 10th, 1983, Marvelous Marvin Hagler took on the legendary Roberto Duran. It has been said that the champion gave the challenger too much respect. But in the end, after 15 rounds, Hagler had won the unanimous decision. He had his long-awaited recognition as a dominant middleweight champion. But by not winning convincingly, Hagler had left a hint of doubt. His last defense was October 19th, 1984. Remarkably, Mustafa Hamsho had returned as the #1 contender. His reward was more punishment from the champion. This time it lasted only 3 rounds as the undisputed middleweight champion, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, restored his image as one of the most powerful forces in boxing. Thomas Hearns exploded from the Motor City with a ferocity rarely seen in the sport of boxing. As the WBA welterweight champion, his lethal combinations destroyed challengers like Pablo Baez. After 32 consecutive wins, a dream match had been made. The showdown of September 16th, 1981 will live on as a classic. Hearns took the early lead from Sugar Ray Leonard, but in the 6th, the gutsy WBC champion had Thomas in desperate trouble. The tide had turned. Remarkably, Hearns outboxed Leonard in rounds 8 through 12. And here in the 11th, it was Leonard who was struggling to survive with a battered left eye. Then in the 14th, ahead on all 3 scorecards, Thomas Hearns had suffered his first defeat. But after climbing in weight, the hitman bounced back. It was on February 27th, 1982 that Hearns stopped a tough middleweight, Marcus Geraldo, in the first round. Geraldo had gone the distance with Hagler. And then, 9 months later, Hearns met Wilfred Benitez head-on for the WBC Super Welterweight title. The challenger pressed the defensive champion all night, picking his shots and scoring effectively. In the words of his trainer, Emmanuel Stewart, he had outboxed the boxer. Hearns had also fought the later rounds with a broken right hand. But after 15 rounds, Thomas Hearns had won the majority decision. The Hitman had regained his pride and his status in boxing. 7 months later, Hearns stepped up in weight to meet a former light heavyweight contender named Murray Sutherland. Weighing 157.5 pounds, the Hitman once again proved his worth as a boxer. Sutherland later confided that he was hurt in the final round, calling Hearns a powerful middleweight puncher. Thomas called this fight a great test, stating, "It showed I belong in this division." It was hard to disagree. After crushing Duran in 2 brutal rounds, Thomas Hearns again successfully defended his WBC super welterweight title with a 3rd round knockout of Fred Hutchings. The rebirth of the Hitman has struck fear in the boxing world as Thomas Hearns seeks his 3rd world title. It brings us to the fight. Both champions are peaking and both are determined.
We feel that the jab is going to be the key factor in the fight, the left hand, because we feel that if once we can get Marvin to watch the left jab, get his mind on the left hand, then there will be no problem with getting other shots off.
Hearns' best defense is his offense, because that's the only way that he knows how to fight. In my way, I have to make my defense my best offense. So, and though that I have both ways, because once I get him in trouble, I can change it around. Thomas don't have that ability.
I'm here to show the world that I have the ability, the punching power to get in there and knock out middleweights, light heavyweights, whatever, welterweights, all the way up to the light heavyweight division. I have that power.
I have my mind focused on one thing, and that's to destroy him. That is to knock him out. If I have the opportunity, if it's there, I'm going to take it.
I think that this fight here will put me in the position to make greatness and put me one step closer to greatness, and which is to win the 4 titles.
That's what I feel. War. That's what's on my mind.
I don't see the fight going 12 rounds.
I've been feeding the faith, and I've been starving the doubt. So there's no doubt in my mind that I can't win this fight or that I won't knock Thomas Hearns out.
In the red corner, the challenger, the WBC Super Welterweight Champion, fighting out of Detroit, Michigan, weighing 159 3/4 pounds. His professional record consists of 40 wins, 1 defeat, with 34 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Thomas the Hitman Hearns. And in the blue corner, fighting out of Brockton, Massachusetts, weighing 159 1/4 pounds, with a professional record of 60 wins, 2 defeats, 2 draws, and 50 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, the undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Pat, good 8. Let's go.
So the two come to mid-ring with Richard Steele.
Instructions in the dressing room. I'm just cautioning you now. Obey my command at all times. Shake hands, good luck to both of you. Let's go.
Very simple instructions. And finally, it's Hagler against Hearns.
The camera's going to have to go.
Eloquent simplicity by Richard Steele. Let's go.
He knows, they know. Staring at each other through the national anthem. To stare down, of course, so customary before these fights. And here we go.
And he caught Hagler with 2 good jabs and a right hand that might have hurt Hagler. Tremendous pace in the first round.
I expected this, Barry. Both guys are good.
And a left hand by Hagler.
So whoever gets caught in the chin,
There was a
may go down.
left hand by Hagler that stood Hearns straight up. And a right hand. Both men have felt it.
Just uses defense. He's walking. Both fighters are really balanced.
Hagler leading with the right hand, but he's kind of Tommy Hearns, and it did Hearns now. But it is Hagler who is bleeding. Marvin Hagler Hagler again. We can't quite tell where it's coming from while Hagler continues to dish out punishment.
The second round, Hearns is pretty much using his skill. He's boxing.
I believe it.
Whereas Marvin isn't a killer.
There's no question about that. There's also a little blood in the bottom.
Yeah, he's off.
He's awkward. He definitely is awkward.
This is when Hagler needs to throw that hook.
Hearns said he had to keep that foot outside of Hagler to be effective with the jab.
That was the hook.
Good left hook, and Hearns left his foot.
Again, Barry.
Hearns is definitely hurt.
He is definitely hurt. And now this is when Marvin should
Hearns was holding Marvin Hagler's right hand there. Now he tries to fight back. Takes the right hand. Takes the left hand. Hearns against the ropes. He's on rubber legs. Another so far. In fact, collectively,
his own strength.
Just seems to get his legs flat on the face of business. Or even though he's throwing it off the back foot, any better. There's no question about it. Right hand says Hearns. He doesn't know where he is. Hagler goes in for the kill now.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's down. And
It wasn't really boxing that was at stake. It was just a matter of him here on Queer Street.
right hand.
The shot. And the right hook.
Too. The first time,
A couple times,
Duran here really wanted anybody could not acknowledge the
crowd champion, a very
is. We've seen
a look, and that woman here is hurt. His hands are dropped.
And still, undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Marvelous Marvin Hagler.